I'd like to call the session of the Monday, May 6th session of Board of Education to order. I also need a motion for us to enter closed session for the reasons so stated on the agenda. Do I have someone that can
So
make a
moved.
motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, let us move to closed session. Thank you. Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting of the Board of Education to order for May 6, 2024. We will start by reading the public charge. Orange County Board of Education pledges to its citizens to conduct its business in a courteous and productive manner, showing respect for fellow board members, staff, and citizens. The board asks its citizens to conduct themselves with the same courtesy toward both school personnel and each other. A moment of silence will be observed before each meeting. In addition to the moment of silence, the board will recite the Pledge of Allegiance. The board asks that you check your cell phones and other electronic devices to be certain that they are either turned off or on vibrate to avoid interruption of this meeting. And we will now stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, let us observe a moment of silence, please. Okay, thank you very much. I'd like to welcome everyone here tonight. And we are going to now move into our recognitions. And I think Dr. Dreyer has the first one.
Good evening.
Good evening.
We are here to recognize Asian Pacific Islander Month. Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month is observed in the United States during the month of May and recognizes the contributions and influence of Asian American, Native Hawaiians, and Pacific Islander Americans to the history, culture, and achievements of the United States. The month of May has been a dedicated time to celebrate Asian Pacific American heritage since 1979, but it wasn't officially designated Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month until 1992. Selected to commemorate the immigration of the first Japanese to the U.S. in May of 1843 and the completion of the Transcontinental Railroad in May of 1859 that was made possible by thousands of Chinese laborers, AAPI Heritage Month elevates the stories, contributions, and experiences of Asian and Asian American communities. During the month of May, we recognize Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month and celebrate the many achievements and contributions of those who are a part of this culture. And there are guiding questions and information on our equity page for those who want to learn more. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that information. Okay, Mental Health Awareness Month is also Dr. Dreyer.
I'm back. Since its inception in 1949, Mental Health Awareness Month has been a cornerstone of addressing the challenges faced by millions of Americans living with mental health conditions. Mental Health Awareness Month was established to increase awareness of the importance of mental health and wellness in Americans' lives and to celebrate recovery from mental illness. Organizations such as the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, as we call SAMHSA, and the National Alliance on Mental Health, or NAMI, recognize Mental Health Awareness Month each year to increase awareness and the vital role mental health plays in our overall health and well-being, and provide resources, information, and support to individuals and communities who may be in need of mental health support, and provide opportunities for public education and advocacy for prioritizing the well-being of those who are affected by mental illness. And so in our recognition of the month, of course, we had our mental health fair this past Saturday, and there are also resources and tools sent to our staff to be able to use and recognize through announcements and activities with our students and families as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. National School Nurse Day. Dr. Dreyer.
Hey, how are y'all? It's been such a long time. I'm back again. So, National School Nurse Day was established to foster a better understanding of the role of school nurses in the educational setting. Since 1972, National School Nurse Day has been set aside to recognize school nurses. School Nurse Day is celebrated on the Wednesday within National Nurses Week, which is this week starting today. National Nurses Week is May 6 through 12 each year. We take this time to acknowledge and celebrate our school nurses for their tireless work with students, families, and staff. We are more than fortunate in Orange County Schools to have 16 nurses on our staff. I will say that they are amazing, phenomenal, and dare I say feisty. But they work very hard with our students and our families each day. So I do want to bring up Sylvia Compton, who is our lead school nurse, to share more information.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Sir Vice Chair, and board members, and our Dr. Jones. I don't know who's feisty, I don't know who she's referring to, but sometimes definitely got to be. I'm going to reference some language that was part of the proclamation of National School Nurse Day from the National School Nurse Association as I speak here. As we continue to follow the whole school, whole community, whole child model with coordination of policies, processes, practices towards improving learning and health, we recognize students are the future by investing in them today. We are ensuring our world for tomorrow. Families deserve to feel confident that their children will be cared for when they are at school. All students have a right to their physical and mental health needs safely met while in the school setting. Our students today face complex and life-threatening health problems requiring individual medical care during the school day. School nurses have served a critical role in improving public health and in ensuring student academic success for more than 120 years. Among the many roles and responsibilities that school nurses have, one is to also address home and community factors such as social deterrents that impact a student's health. School nurses are professionals who contribute to the well-being, academic success, and lifelong achievement of all students by serving on the forefront lines and providing a critical safety net for most fragile children. School nurses act as the liaison to the school community, families, and healthcare providers on behalf of children's health by promoting wellness and improving health outcome for all children. School nurses support the health and educational success of children and youth by providing access to care when children's cognitive development is at its peak. School nurses are also members of school-based teams, such as school health services, 504, IEP teams, disaster, emergency planning, and providing care coordination to address the school's population. School nurses understand the link between health and learning and are in a position to make a positive difference for every child every day. Therefore, on National School Nurses Day, let's be sure to celebrate and acknowledge the accomplishments of school nurses everywhere and for their efforts to meet the needs of today's students by providing and advocating for quality student-centered care. And let us offer gratitude for school nurses who contribute to our local community by supporting students to stay healthy in school, safe, and ready to learn. This allows for parents and guardians to remain at work as well. And let us acknowledge not this just for the National School Nurses Day, but throughout the entire school year. I want to say a big thank you to our county commissioners, our school board members, our district leadership. You all understand the importance and the impact of school nurses, role that they have made and have made it possible for Orange County Schools to have a nurse at every school. Thank you for giving us the support that our role deserves with 2 fantastic school health technicians in addition, as well as a dedicated float nurse that has impacted our role in our school, in our community. They have assisted us in so many ways and are so valuable, and they also assist in covering the health room throughout our school district when school nurses are out sick or other family obligations. Thank you to my team for allowing me with the honor to be your leader. We all know it takes a special person to do what we do, but it also takes true passion and purpose. And I believe that what is standing behind me and before all of us is exactly that. So thank you.
Thank you.
If possible, I'm sorry, if possible, I do have two nurses that want to say something. We have Miss Chelsea, who I courted and stole from another county, I won't say where, but she's new with us here recently since February, beginning of March, or end of March, sorry. And she had lots of complimentary things to say about us, and I'm very proud, and I want our community to know all the good things that we do have. After Miss Chelsea, sorry, I'm going away from the mic. We're going to have Miss Deanna Payne. This is her second full year with us as a school nurse, who we also did court from another county district, but we won't say from where, who would just like to say a few words, if that's okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Board, for hearing me. I wanted to say I'm one of our newest staff, and as she mentioned, I am a transfer from a nearby county. My main takeaway working for Orange County Schools is that we get a lot of things right. And so tonight I want to tell you the things that I see that we're doing really well. The first is this is the feedback that I give to all the people who ask me how it's going. I feel very well supported here. This school health program is the best supported program that I've been a part of. Our salaries are stable. They're on the master's teacher's pay scale, which if you're following what's happening in the rest of the state, it's not like that. I feel really lucky that I'm honored with a stable salary, and it's paid by the county commissioners, so that at any time, if you need to raise our salaries to retain and recruit high-quality nurses, we can do that. And you need to know that's really important and really special for our county. You have gone through and given us emergency office hours. This is something that has been pretty mind-blowing as I've shared that around through other nurses in the state. It allows us to prioritize our most medically complex case management throughout the day. Sometimes when we're seeing kids all day long, we don't have the time to do that. So it allows us to have better outcomes for those students who need the most case management in our schools. In addition, you've given us our student health techs. This was something that I brought back to the county that I left as just sort of a non-negotiable today in the world that we live in. Our schools, particularly our high schools, are so big that expecting one nurse to be able to manage all of the health conditions that come into that building is just unrealistic. And so for you guys to make those positions and make them permanent is pretty incredible. And I feel very supported to know that I can call out to them if I need help in my own school. The other thing I want to say is that this nursing team is the most supportive team that I've ever been a part of through my entire nursing career. In the first few weeks, when it was kind of a hard transition for me, because I'm doing a different age group than I'm used to, I got phone calls from many of my colleagues here checking in on me. I knew on my hardest days that I could reach out to somebody and I would have immediate support. And that comes from having a leader that fosters a culture of support and engagement. So I also want to just thank Sylvia for what she's done to put together this program. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on the behalf of Orange County school nurses and for this public recognition here tonight. My name is Deanna Payne, and I am the school nurse at Gravelly Hill Middle School. I've worked with Orange County schools for 2 years, and I can sincerely say that my colleagues sitting behind me are the best group of nurses that I've had the opportunity to work with during my 11-year nursing career. When I first embarked on my school nursing journey, I, like most hospital nurses, thought that school nursing was an easy job, comprised of nothing more than ice packs, scraped knees, and Band-Aids. Boy, was I wrong. While the aforementioned tasks are a part of my day, so are diabetic emergencies, seizures, anaphylactic reactions, concussions, broken bones, lacerations, and psychiatric emergencies, to name a few. In addition to caring for the medical needs of students, school nurses are also responsible for immunization compliance, creating health plans, conducting vision screens, coordinating healthcare referrals, providing community resources, performing staff trainings, communicating with providers, administering medications, and the tracking of communicable diseases. As the only healthcare professionals in the building, school nurses are on the front line of all health-related events for both staff and students alike. We are the leaders that others look toward for guidance and support. The valiant work that school nurses do every day would not be possible without great leadership, and no one is better than our lead nurse, Sylvia Compton. Nurse Compton works tirelessly on our behalf. She is a supporter of our profession and a fierce advocate for the needs of our students. She is an invaluable asset to Orange County Schools. I would be remiss if I did not mention our amazing support team. Our float nurse, Susan Vaughn, helps to cover our schools when we're not able to be there. Our wonderful school health technicians, Conica Smith and Jennifer Gomez, are equally as invaluable. We are so thankful for their help and support so that as nurses, we can function at the optimal level. In conclusion, I would like to thank the board again for this amiable recognition and to say thank you to my colleagues with whom I am honored to work with in this noble profession. Maya Angelou once said, "I have learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel." As school nurses, we hope that every day our students feel seen, valued, and heard. Thank you.
Thank you to you all for being here tonight and for doing everything that you do for our students, our families, and our staff. So I will say, Happy Nurses Week and happy early Nurses Day to you all on Wednesday. But before we conclude, I would like to ask if we could have a picture with our nurses with the board.
Less tall in front. Less tall in front, more tall in back. That's right. Can we shift over toward the center a little bit more? Kind of, you're tall. Yes, we can see the board. We all took showers.
That's a future nurse. Future nurse. Thank you.
Oh, very nice for everything you do. Thank you all so much, and we're glad that you're here tonight, and we appreciate your comments, and we greatly appreciate all that you do. Okay, we are moving on to Teacher Appreciation Week, and we do not have Dr. Dreyer for this one. We have Kevin Smith.
I hate to disappoint you, Madam
That's okay.
Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the board, Dr. Jones, and everyone, especially our teachers. We really want to say thank you, and there are so many ways to say thank you. If you read the abstract, you saw that there's just a few social media posts, a few pages on our website, and an awful lot of flowers. There's been a lot of flower giving over the past few weeks in Orange County schools. And what I've brought for you, again, I want you to please remember that we're celebrating a brand new raft of Teachers of the Year, and in just 2 short weeks, the newly crowned OCS Teacher of the Year for the next school year will be joining you and many others before the meeting and during the meeting. But we are so excited that this week, our communications specialist, Jayla Davis, has been going back and reviewing the Teacher of the Year roundtable, the folks who got to know Dr. Marilyn, you all, and then have gotten to know Dr. Jones, and helping to lead teacher leadership in our district. So I'm going to share briefly, just for folks at home, I think it's a good idea for us to remind them every once in a while that there's so many ways to find us. And I'm going to share our Instagram feed here for just 1 second, because I think it's just really important for folks to remember that you can connect with us. There are plenty of folks who know where to find us on Facebook, Instagram, and other apps like that. But you'll see that there are lovely comments. I think one of the most beautiful things about sharing our school nurses, our school nurses, sharing teachers, and especially sharing our students on a day-to-day basis, is that folks really love to come and share their support and echo what we think about our teachers, which is that they are the heart and soul, and what they do in the classrooms makes Orange County schools every single day. And I think you're going to hear a lot more about that over the course of tonight's meeting in particular. So just wanted to remind you that you can find everything that we would love to say there, and in much more detail. Schools have already begun celebrating today. We couldn't say thank you enough without our parents and without our community. There's been a huge outpouring of generosity just in the last 24 hours for every teacher in our school system, and we know that's going to continue all week. So I think we would just want to invite everyone to applaud our teachers and hope they have a wonderful Teacher Appreciation Week. I think next up is School Lunch Hero Day, and I have, very good. I wanted to make sure that I was ready for that. Sarah Pitts has been doing an amazing job, and once again, I guess I should probably, maybe it's just the safest thing is just to share that social media again. Oh, you're here, good, come on. I was like, I know you must be here, but I didn't see you. I have nothing more to say on that.
So good evening.
Good evening.
On Friday, May 3rd, Orange County Schools celebrated School Lunch Hero Day. This national holiday is when students and other school staff can say an extra special thank you to our school nutrition staff for all that they do. Students and staff who dined in our cafeterias last Friday, or actually on any day, right, are able to observe our school nutrition colleagues prepare meals, all while aligning cook time with bell schedules, also adhering to our strict nutritional guidelines, managing our student allergies with the lovely nurses that were just here, and offering food service with a welcoming smile. Tonight, we are here to recognize the difference that our school nutrition staff make every day for the students who come through the cafeteria. The lovely ladies standing behind me are often some of the first people that our students see when they walk through the doors. I did ask them tonight to share some words about why they love their job. All of them with me have respectfully declined. They asked for this early, so I do have two that I want to read. One said, "I love to cook. I love talking to kids, especially those that need a little extra encouragement. I love to see the kids every day make comments about the food that I make. I like that child nutrition is a job where I can learn, grow, and have opportunities to succeed in many ways." Someone standing behind me wrote, "I love children. I love to make them laugh. I feel like the job keeps me young and engaged with the changes that each generation brings." So there are lots of other comments that poured in that just show why these lovely ladies behind me and those that were not here tonight are such superheroes. School Nutrition Services would also like to say a big thank you to the district, to the superintendent, and everyone on leadership, as this is the second year that this has been uplifted, and we just greatly appreciate the recognition. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, up next, we have our Morehead-Cain Scholarship recipient for this year from Orange High School, and so we have Mr. Johnson here.
Good evening.
Good evening.
It is my honor to introduce to you tonight Orange High School second student in 3 years to be awarded the Morehead-Cain Scholar at UNC Chapel Hill, Ms. Riley White. Riley White is a part of this year's graduating class and will soon be a part of UNC Chapel Hill's class of 2028. Riley is a very strong student academically. She's also the founder and president of the Orange High School UNICEF Club, captain of the varsity swim and dive team. She's also a state champion. She is a team leader for the Fellowship of Christian Athletes and a member of the Beta Club. She's also involved with her local church. At this time, I bring to you Ms. Riley White.
I wasn't super prepared to speak today, and I did have 2 AP exams, so just lower the expectation level just a little bit. Thank you, board, so much for having me here. It's such an honor, and this whole experience has been such just a rewarding experience throughout the school board and the faculty members and teachers. Thank you to Mr. Johnson. Thank you to Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith does such a fabulous job of reaching both the student athletes at Orange and just everyday students. He really pours into us and highlights our accomplishments so well. So thank you to all that you've done, both with me and with the swim team. You've done such a fabulous job. The Morehead-Cain Scholarship is absolutely amazing. They pour into both North Carolina students and global students and offer us an amazing opportunity to study at UNC for free, just fabulous. We have awesome summer enrichment programs, but I have to say Morehead-Cain was never on my radar. I originally was set and determined to swim D1. That was my goal, that was my ambition, and it was something I was on path and on the map to achieve. Unfortunately, my junior year did not go as planned, and it was fully the course of God that I get to be a Morehead-Cain scholar today. He had bigger plans for my life, and I get to stand here with new friends and new mentors and new opportunities that were never on my radar before. So very grateful and so blessed to be able to have this opportunity. My family are absolutely fabulous, and they've poured in and really given me absolutely everything that I could possibly desire, whether it's just the confidence to be able to stand up here, the confidence to pursue things that I maybe thought were scary or overambitious, but overall, I'm just so grateful and excited to be here. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Riley, and we're glad to have your family here tonight, and we wish you the most success you can possibly have at UNC. I know you're going to do great things over there, whether you're swimming or studying or traveling abroad. You're going to do great things. So thank you for representing Orange County Schools so well, and we wish you nothing but the most success you can have. Okay, we need to adopt our agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Okay, agenda is adopted. And now we have public comment. Do we have public comment tonight, Mr.? Okay.
We will now hear public comments. Speakers will be called in order in which they signed up. Each speaker will have 3 minutes. Yielding time to other speakers is not permitted. If a speaker has written materials they would like to share, please hand them to our board clerk, Franklin McCune, and he will distribute them to the board. The purpose of public comment is for the board to hear from members of the public, not to engage in back and forth discussions. Per our policy, board members will not respond to speakers during the public comment session. The board greatly values public feedback and welcomes all comments regardless of viewpoint. However, please be reminded that children are often present at these meetings and that our public comment policy prohibits profanity, vulgarity, and personal abuse of any person. We ask that all comments be civil, respectful, and free of personal attacks. Any speaker who violates our public comment period or otherwise exceeds the bounds of order or decorum will be given a warning. Continued violations may result in the speaker being ruled out of order, at which point we will move on to the next speaker. Our one and only speaker for tonight is Sarah Tiani. Is that correct?
Good evening, board. Welcome, Dr. Jones. This is funny because I was promised myself if I saw Principal Johnson, then I was going to make some impromptu comments, and so this was for him, but he's gone, so I'll tell him about it later. My name is Sarah Tiani. I'm the parent of 2 students, both at Orange High School, and I wanted to thank Principal Johnson for his support of the Student Equity Team, which is a diverse group of students run by Xavier Adams and Gretchen Phillips. The team recently presented to the faculty about how to make the school a real safe space, not just a sign on the door, and how it really makes the students feel to have a safe space. And And they are going to present again at the end of the month about pronouns and meeting students where they are. What I really appreciate about Mr. Johnson, and I told him this to his face last week, so I guess I don't have to do it in front of all of y'all, but is that he just makes it very matter of fact and just, this is the way it is. And I think that that is so important for the kids. He's just a fierce advocate and makes my child feel safe. So thank you, Principal Johnson.
He's right back there.
Oh, we'll tell him later. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you very much. Okay, board comments. Ms. Smiley, do you have any board comments?
Sure, well, those were all wonderful celebrations. So thank you
Hard
to
to
our
follow.
nurses and our school lunch heroes and our teachers. And yeah, that was lovely. I just wanted to highlight a couple of great events that I have gone to in the past couple of weeks that were both really big team efforts. One of them was the Gravelly Hill Career Day, where all of the students had an opportunity to go around and learn about different careers at probably 20 different tables, engineering, working at RDU, EMS, a bakery, just all, such a wide variety. And I know that was a group effort to put together and required lots of outside support. And then the other one, very similarly, group effort required lots of outside support, was the Health and Wellness Fair at Orange High School this weekend, which was a fabulous event as well. There was music, and there were all kinds of terrific Orange County Schools partners, Swim for Charlie and DSS, and everybody with like lots of information and resources for families. So just really enjoyed both those events, and it takes a team. So thank you.
Ms. Doyle?
Yeah, thank you, Chair Purcell. I appreciate everyone we celebrated tonight and everyone who was here. And a couple events I was pleased to have the opportunity to go to. One was the Youth Poet Laureate event at Cedar Ridge recently. That is just such a fantastic, like collaborative community. But, you know, we have our leadership from Jackie Shelton Green, and it's just such a fantastic program and kind of mindset that's developed in the past couple of years. I went to a literary night at Gravelly Hill shortly after that, and they had a lot of impromptu poet readers, and I just feel like it's like a renewed part of our culture that I'm really pleased to see. Loved the production of Clue at Orange High School and a recent art exhibit there. And I just wanted to elevate Mental Health Awareness Month. That was on my mind today, and I appreciate how as a district we continue to talk about mental health. I definitely got springboarded into that with COVID, but just knowing just people who are struggling need to know that it's okay to talk about struggling. I remember being a particularly as a young adult, having my own, challenges, and just having an environment where people talk openly about emotions and needs and challenges and hurdles. And I just want us to continue to foster that culture here. And I appreciate everyone who has done so.
Thank you. Mr. Richmond?
Yes, the recognitions were wonderful, and I just want to thank all the nurses, all our school nurses, for what you do. It's really close to home, because my mother, she's a retired nurse, and then I have a sister that's a registered nurse. So thank you for everything you do. Thank you to all our teachers, our cafeteria workers. Congratulations to Riley White. And last Saturday, I had the opportunity to kind of MC the Orange High School recognition for the 1969 state championship basketball team, and that was a pleasure. I learned a lot, and getting kind of goosebumps now, but it was a wonderful, wonderful event, so.
Mr. Atherton?
Sure. So attended several events that were mentioned. The poetry night was excellent with all the speakers and the support, and I agree, it just gets better each and every year. The Health and Wellness Fair, the only other thing I wanted to mention was the free Zumba that was going on, and a lot of people getting very excited, and it was fun to see. One other event that I was able to go to was the Earth Day at Cedar Ridge with Ms. Sagat, and learning about the digital library that they're doing, which allows taking content and making it digitally accessible. And then also seeing a lot of the students that are able to actually have experience in a dark room with film exposures and learning about the process, how to do it, the different exposures, and sharing that with all the other students. And then the highlight was really hearing the students' projects where they took interviews from other students, other staff, what they are concerned about with the earth. They had questions about thoughts about, what are your real concerns? How do you feel adults are addressing this? And it was really good to hear the perspectives and really see how the students are using the technology to put their thoughts together to actually show other students how they feel and how they did a complete investigation through all the different aspects. So it was really good to see. Also just wanted to thank all the nurses for their support every day for our students, our teachers, the staff, and the families. Really, they are so important for the support of all of our schools. Also, just wanted to say thanks as well to our cafeteria nutrition workers. It is just amazing, how much focus they have on ensuring every student has a meal every day. And a lot of us take that for granted. And it's really heartfelt to see what they do every day. And I know that they know each and every student, they know every family member, they know what's going on in their life. And they are the friendly face every day that those students see at breakfast and at lunch and sometimes after school as well. The one thing that I hear all the time from students is Friday is pizza day. So anyway, but that's all for me. Thank you.
Ms. Hauser?
Yeah, I want to add a thank you for our feisty nurses. I love that. It's funny because it's hard to imagine what a job description for a school nurse would be. And when you're in school and you see the things that happen, it's totally unpredictable. But the way your team described it tonight, I almost had to leave the room. It was really beautiful. So thank you so much for that, for reminding us how important you are and what you really do every day. So thank you. Very moving. Again, and the school nutrition staff and what all the different constraints of that job and what they have to do to make it work, and they make it work, and they make it work for every kid. So thank you for that. And of course, after all those great presentations, then they get Riley White, kind of hits it out of the park. So really proud of that. I also had the privilege, really, of attending the Youth Poet Laureate seminar or whatever. It was amazing to see these kids just leave it on the table or on the floor. Is that the right term? They left it on the floor. They did things that I don't think I would be able to do what they did. Of course, they had an incredible coach. Thank you to Ann and Andre for a really incredible Orange High School state champion. There's really quite a moving day. It was quite a great celebration for Orange High School. And then congratulations and thank you to Dr. Dreyer for her team for the Health and Wellness Fair on Saturday at Orange High School. It's a wonderful collaboration across service providers that work with our families, and a great performance by the Orange High School STEP team did a fantastic performance. And I must say, Mr. Foster, the new bathrooms at Orange High School are beautiful. So thank you so much for that. It is Mental Health Month, and I wondered if it's possible if I could put in a request for a report from Dr. Jones and Dr. Dreyer about the status of our mental health services, what our backlog looks like, and what we're doing to fill it. I know you're making great progress, and it would really be helpful, I think, for the board and the public to get a report on that. So thank you for the great work of everybody.
Okay, well, I also have been to a lot of the things that have already been mentioned here. One that was left off was the livestock show, and I have to put a plug in for the livestock show. I was at
What did you say?
livestock show
Oh, thank you.
in Orange Grove, and with our FFA kids, did a phenomenal job. Also, I took part in the Legislative to Work Day on April the 15th, and Representative Renee Price and her assistant came, and along with Mr. Smith, we walked around three of our schools, and met some teachers and let her meet some children and go into some classrooms and be a part of class in some classrooms. And that was very interesting, I think, for her, and it was also interesting for us as we talked about the schools, and she learned more about the schools throughout that event that day. I also enjoyed going to the Literacy and Career Fair at Gravelly Hill last week. That was a special event, and they did a great job with it. So just want to say again, thank you to everyone who was here tonight, and a special thank you to all of our teachers for Teacher Appreciation Week. Every week should be Teacher Appreciation Week, and I appreciate them so much, along with our school nurses and everything that they do every single day to help our kids and their families. So a big shout out to them this week as we celebrate those two things. Dr. Jones, do you have any comments?
Yes, ma'am, I do. Good evening, Chair Purcell, Vice Chair Richmond, members of the board, students, staff, and community members. As I promised when I began as superintendent on February 1st, I have completed 90 days of intensive listening and learning. I engaged our board and district leadership in one-on-one meetings to learn more about the district. I spent a day at each school where I was able to visit classrooms, hold student roundtables, and meet with staff. I enjoyed meeting our community during our 5 public town hall meetings that were held and reading the over 250-plus community survey responses. I'm excited tonight to bring you findings from the hundreds of hours spent by myself and many of my staff, gleaning wisdom and understanding from the community that we serve together. From the beginning, I have asked 3 questions. What do you love most about Orange County schools? What changes can we make? And what new initiatives do you think would help us reach the goals that we share for our district? Our community loves that we have a community school system. It's the perfect size for people to know one another and the generations of families we serve. There's a true sense of closeness and belonging, which makes it possible for us to support one another and, most importantly, support our students. Overall, our staff feels supported. Our schools are known for having teachers that support one another. District leaders are not only accessible, but also responsive to the needs of our schools. We provide excellent resources and support for students. Overwhelmingly, we have caring staff, and strong relationships have been built between the educators across the district and our families. The fact that our community is richly diverse, with students and staff from a variety of backgrounds and perspectives, was seen as a positive. The work that we do to make our schools safe, inclusive, and welcoming for each and every person is one thing that many brought forward as something they deeply love about our district. Along with the strong sense of community, we have competitive athletics, a deep commitment to cultural arts, STEM programs, a year-round choice school, career and technical education pathways, and access to career and college promise options. We have good schools with great staff, offering amazing options to students and families. I found that many of the things people would like to change also came with suggestions about how we could accomplish it. Therefore, I will now share some next steps that I see for us in Orange County schools based on the feedback from our community. Overwhelmingly, our staff and families want us to focus on teacher retention. This opens up lots of opportunities for us, everything from improving our recruitment efforts and staff onboarding process, ensuring our teachers have adequate time to plan, increasing our roster of substitutes, and ensuring we support and provide our substitutes with appropriate training. We need to continue to invest in our staff They are the most important resource for our students. We will work to improve professional learning communities, both at the school and district level, by offering enriching professional development opportunities throughout the school year. Our students, staff, and families all want to see us increase our focus on mental health and the overall well-being and social-emotional wellness of our students and staff. This has important implications for staff and student attendance and performance. Our staff will receive ongoing professional development on restorative practices designed to support conflict resolution and strengthen relationships and social connections. We will also increase our efforts to educate our young people around the dangers of vaping and the use of alcohol and drugs. Our community wants us to continue our commitment to equity. We must be more intentional about how we engage students and families across any line of difference between us. Different cultures, different languages, different abilities, different beliefs and perspectives. I'm confident that we not only can do this as a district, but we must do this for everyone in our learning community. Otherwise, we simply will not reach the goals that we have for academic performance. Our work for the upcoming school year will be data-driven. We will support each other as we work together to meet the individual needs of every child in Orange County schools. Last but not least, we know that success in all of these areas depends so much on improved communication. We will regularly share information with our students, families, staff, and the Orange County community about programs offered to our students and about the schools and district events. We will do better to provide open and transparent access to information about how we are performing as a school district. Board, many of you were with us during town hall meetings and other opportunities for public input, and I know you share my commitment to helping us move forward and be the great district that we know Orange County Schools to be. Thank you for your support during these last few months. I also want to thank my team who spent countless hours engaging our community along with me. Lastly, I want to thank the students, teachers, and staff, families, and community members for your honest input. I look forward to working together as we embark on the next phase of continuous improvement. Thank you. That concludes my comments.
Thank you very much, and we appreciate you doing the tours. We appreciate you getting out and meeting and working with your staff and learning everything you can learn about Orange County schools. And I know it seems like it's been longer than 90 days, but we are thrilled to have you here and appreciate your hard work and hitting the ground running, so to speak.
Thank you. I just want to add as well, we are working on this information being posted on our website so that it can be widely shared and distributed to our school community.
That would be
Yes.
great. Thank you so much. Okay, we move on to our consent agenda. We need to approve our consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
To approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, consent is approved. Now, discussion action. Mr. Foster, we have you for redistricting. Welcome.
Good evening, Chair Purcell, Vice Chair Richmond, members of the board, Dr. Jones. This evening, we're seeking board approval for the redistricting process that will start for the 2025-2026 school year. I think it's important to note first that the redistricting plan created is based on district needs and priorities, focusing on our 4 pillars, right? 4150, student achievement, stability, proximity, operational efficiency. During this process, we've gathered feedback from the public, from you, the board, from our previous reassignment committee staff, and we were able to dive in to that feedback to pull out some common themes and and common feedback. Some of the things we've heard throughout this process were things such as keeping communities and neighborhoods connected, certainly moving towards transparency, programming, which we'll talk about in terms of available services as well. In doing so, we thought, hey, when we look at the feedback and when we have an opportunity to look at some of those common themes, how are we going to address that, right? And what would those focus areas be? So we were able to come up with a plan to address those components. So as a result, we focus on addressing these areas with a broader staff engagement, which I'll dive into a little bit here shortly. Some expanded family community engagement. Earlier, more frequent principal involvement. We'll dive into that a little bit as well. Publicity to make the process timeline transparent and inviting. Certainly continuing to move towards fine-tuning our maps and capacity data sets. And again, we want to ensure the new maps will serve the district. A good, solid reassignment plan ensures that occurs for 5 years or more. This process will be collaborative. We're going to lean again on those 4 pillars of student assignment. And the process will be focused and have ample time, all right, for what has been allotted. Again, with the goal of approving a redistricting plan in October. Some of the key results this plan will deliver. When we look at managing building capacity, we simply want to minimize our capacity issues. Again, sort of our main purpose and goal of reassignment. We want to align the data, all right? We want to ensure that the data is transparent. We want to be able to publish the data that we can and share messaging of data that we aren't able to publish due to FERPA. We want to communicate plans effectively. Be a full communication plan that has been outlined for families and staff to ensure and the community are all informed. Our transition plans support all of our affected students. Transition plans that will dive into academic support, social emotional support, EC transition, transportation, just to name a few. Programming impacts that are minimized throughout our schools, and certainly we want to achieve balanced enrollment. Going back to our board policy of minimizing high concentrations of low-performing students and promoting social economic diversity. Our plan, and when we talk about being collaborative, feedback-driven, that approach involves these 4 components. Our redistricting administrative team, the advisory council, our principals and staff, and also community engagement. All right. Again, going back to the idea of us diving into the feedback we've heard previously to address those needs and those common themes that we heard throughout the process. I want to touch on principal input a little bit, something that's come up pretty frequently in terms of how we will work to engage our school leaders. First, they will be instrumental in being able to help us put together and form the advisory committee, which will start shortly. They're going to certainly prepare and support family engagement, both in the fall and as we get to the close of the actual approval of the plan, in addition to after the plan has been approved, moving towards how do we engage families once they know their new assignment. And they'll be supporting schools in developing certainly the communication plan. So we'll be communicating with them regularly and frequently to get that process moved along and to get their support and assistance in doing so. Our administrative team. We created a robust team that will, in essence, look at the makeup of the redistricting maps and redistricting pieces. We want to get them to provide feedback on the draft maps as well as transition plans, all right? Each member of that administrative team has a level of expertise that we'll be able to dive into that will allow us to create transition plans for students as they are in a particular new school, for staff as well that are in a particular new school. So they'll help us review the draft maps and again, create those transition plans for their respective areas. Those meetings will start here in May. We'll be meeting weekly every Thursday. The Advisory Council, as shared before, our principals will be instrumental in putting that Advisory Council together. We have bulked that up a little bit and included 5 volunteer representatives for each school. Again, that will consist of parents and staff, and again, principal consultation on that. Criteria, well, again, we want a diverse council, all right? We want to make sure that our principals are aware of that they're committed to the meetings. We need individuals that will, again, obviously attend meetings throughout this process. The meeting dates have been outlined, times have been outlined, sites have been outlined as well. And again, the district administrative team will support the council as they look at draft maps, as well as to review transition plans from the areas of responsibility. So we'll use these members again to schools to help support and put these members together in doing so. How we'll engage the advisory council in these meetings. It'll be both whole and small group engagement in doing so. We're going to first start off with education and certainly educating them on the process, what that looks like, the framework of reassignments as well, reviewing some of the previous materials, and then dive into particularly what maps look like and how they can support and ensure that they understand their role as well. Those meetings back to back related to from June 18th to July 9th, we'll focus on those 2 components. And then as we prepare for the public information sessions, they will be also helpful and supportive in doing so with the public information sessions. Keeping parents and the public informed, another crucial component of the process and of the plan. Twofold communication strategy will do to keep the current and updated information for them. And certainly, again, ample time avenues for input. We'll have some regular superintendent updates for the public and parents as well, and be able to have broad community engagement. Some of the avenues we'll take, ensuring that we have a website up to date and redesigned there, video updates, flyers and email handouts for the public as well. Public information session dates have been outlined as you see there as well. Other engagement opportunities include a comment box that will be on our website that individuals can click on a QR code to be able to provide input there. There'll be a regular FAQ listing of common and thematic questions there as well. And again, video and flyers that will be able to tune into and click on for additional information regarding reassignment. Mapped out are our important dates and benchmarks from May all the way through approval in October, and certainly what occurs after the plan, full plan has been approved in October, and what would occur in terms of those engagement sessions in November leading through the beginning of the year. And finally, to just kind of recap the many components of the plan, we believe a full collaborative feedback-driven approach and effort and leaning on these 4 pillars is the way to go for reassignment. It will allow us to have a successful plan for the start of the 25-26 school year and ensuring that we are off to a good start when that fall occurs. I'll take any questions at this time.
Questions, comments? Ms. Molly?
Just 2 comments, which is I just want to thank you for all of the thoughtful work that's gone into this revised process. I appreciate that you have the dates and times and locations of the meetings, and all of that I think is really going to be helpful for trying to have summer meetings. One thing that I remember from the previous iteration of the reassignment committee is, a frequent question was around, like, what would this do to bus routes, which, one of the pillars, and there's the other pillars as well. But I just wanted to elevate that, and it is probably already on your radar as one of those pieces of like additional information that would be helpful to people, I imagine, as they're like looking at the different maps and thinking about the different impacts, is like impact on bus times.
Okay, yes, thank you.
Mr. Hall?
Thank you, Mr. Foster. Again, we saw a little bit of this last meeting, and so just knowing how robust our redistricting administrative team is, and I think is really important. And I like the idea that principals will be involved in lifting up people for the advisory council, and I know we increased the numbers of people planned with that. So again, it's like more robust, more details laid out. I know we went into last fall with a lot of like similar hopes and concepts, but I just think it's more specific. We've learned from some of our mistakes. I was wondering with the advisory council, so, for families going into the summer and principals shaping this council, and then seeing that there are the 4 meetings in June and July, and then a regroup in September. I'm wondering if, because families will have other summer plans and things like that, if part of the thought is people who are part of the council might be able to attend 1 or 2 of the meetings, or 2 or 3, but not necessarily all 4, that the goal is to have just the laid out plan in advance so that people can participate as much as possible, and then there's a broader group of people participating. Is that part of the thinking?
That's correct, Ms. Doyle. I mean, you're absolutely correct. We certainly want every member of the advisory council to attend every meeting. We know that may not occur,
Right.
But that's also one of the reasons why, we increased the number to ensure we do have representation there, and then also they'll have an opportunity to have the information that they did miss, have follow-up in that space as well.
Okay, and 2 kind of quick things to add. Okay, I also noticed that there's a plan for the public information sessions, which are already laid out, location, dates. This is great. And that partway through there is when the regrouping happens. So there is like an opportunity for regrouping in response to like feedback that might still come in, and that's also the tail end of the advisory. So feedback could come in from the advisory. So
Yeah, that's correct. So both the
Built in.
admin team and advisory council will be supporting those public information session meetings. All right, and we'll take that September meeting to kind of regroup and listen to that feedback that we've heard from the previous public information sessions.
Okay, and last, just, I think it's great, I was noticing, I saw, our goal is to approve this in October, whereas last time it was like a December, and that does build in more time for some of that family engagement, so that makes a lot of sense. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Astor?
Thank you so much. This is very easy to read and understand, and I appreciate all the staff's work on this. Just a few things. On the public information, I'd really like us to add more to say it's public information / feedback, to make sure that people have the expectation that they're going in and will be giving, not just hearing, but actually giving feedback on this process. On the communications as well, I would really like us to leverage the principal's weekly call. It's right before school starts and then during school for the public information, to get that out to families so they're aware of it. I do know we send out districts, but I know the principal calls, include a lot of other items, and parents go through that quite a bit. One generic question that I know we've had as a board is map updates. So I'm just curious, as these advisory public feedback, if there's some recommendation to change the maps or to come up with a C version or D version, where in the timeline would that occur to, one, give ORAD time to do that, and then second is to get the feedback before it gets to us so we could see all the options versus us saying, yes, go do that.
Absolutely. Yeah, we incorporated in June a start of feedback to the board as we are going through the process as well. So we stuck, or kind of did opposite meeting dates, weeks of the board. So we'll be able to bring back to you that feedback. So we're able to add in those board meetings, the feedback from those information sessions and from any feedback from both the advisory council administrative teams.
Let me ask differently, I'm sorry. If any of these groups, as they're going through, request or there's a strong to make a change to an existing map that we've seen, are they going to have the ability to do that, or does it have to come back to the board before?
Oh, no, okay.
Okay,
see what you're
I just
saying.
don't.
I got it.
I don't want us to be a bottleneck.
No, we
is
want to
all I'm
bring it
getting
to
at.
you.
So,
We want
okay.
to, we want to bring the updates to you. And that's why we have Ord on the administrative team as well.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Ms. Hauser?
Yeah, so I'll just add my thanks to this, and I'm really grateful for expanding the size of the school-based teams, and for acknowledging the need to protect neighborhoods and relationships. And on that point, I wondered if it's possible to go one step further. There's still a great deal of concern in the community about the Gateway relationship at New Hope, and there's at least one or two other relationships where the school actually is sending teachers out into the community. These relationships have been built over years. And so I wonder if we could, when we put up the website, if we could name them and say we'll be protecting them. And then also in the, when you flip this around and don't talk about the redistricting across schools, and you talk about, every parent has one concern: if I change schools, what is going to happen to the services for my student? So I wondered, as we do public information sessions, will we be able to add sessions, and I'm going to suggest for the New Hope families or the Eflin families who are directly impacted, so that they could find out whether the services that they're getting today will be available in their new schools. And some of the questions that I'm getting are the dual language. If we take kids out of New Hope, will they continue to get dual languages services, STEM, AIG, EC? So we need a general public information session is not a good venue to ask very specific questions about what's going to happen to my kid in this new school. So I was wondering if we could build something like that into this. Building on Sarah's question about transportation, could we get an early indicator? I'm not looking for all the details, but we're now going to be taking kids from Western Mebane, and instead of sending them to Eflin Cheeks, we're going to be sending them to Hillsborough or Pathways. What is that going to do to their bus rides? Are we, how long will they be roughly? Are we talking about an hour, more? So what are we talking about in terms of expanding the bus ride for a kid? And will we have to be adding more buses and more drivers to it? So, and then is high school redistricting still on the table? Are we still planning that?
So the high school maps will also be evaluated just as the other elementary maps, and will also have to be brought, obviously, in front of the board for approval in October as well.
Great, thank you.
Ms. Doyle has one question, then I'll come back to you.
Thank you. Just wondering about translation. I'm sure that there's plans to have translation services available. I'm wondering if we're doing any centering of our Spanish language families, doing any reverse translation settings, or anything to be particularly focused on Spanish language families.
Are you talking for public information sessions as well? I mean, referencing those?
Yes, and some of our focus areas.
Right, because we had that previously, and we'll continue to move that along.
But-
We did in our previous public information sessions as well.
Okay, and so was that like I'm just wondering what we can do to make that as robust as possible. I don't know if we had, sometimes we've done different things, sometimes we've had our translators translating into a channel and people could hear it, or is it live translation, or is it, I'm just kind of curious what we can do to make that as robust as possible.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Ashburn.
Yeah, I just was following up to what Bonnie was asking about the high school. So I know we did some spot redistricting.
Yes.
And so, but now we have space available at Orange High, for example. I assume y'all are going to evaluate, is that a trend that, do they go back to Orange, or do we harden it and say, okay, no, this is, strange, but this is the route for it. So we'll be evaluating that as well.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Excuse me, Ann, can I just kind of run with that a little bit? It's a really important point, because when ORED first expanded the maps, what they did was expanded those districts. And I think the idea is maybe we can send those kids back to Orange and not have to take the kids from the northern part of Mebane into Cedar Ridge, because it more naturally fits into Orange, right? Is it?
Yeah, and there were two versions that OR did create for us to evaluate and look at as well.
Okay.
I just want to add that I think this plan is very understandable and very parent-friendly, and I appreciate your hard work on it. Two things that jumped out at me was communication was constantly being talked about, and I think that is so important for us to be communicative and transparent to everyone. And also the family engagement. When schools are assigned, parents are going to have the opportunity to go into those schools, meet principals, meet teachers. Some open houses are going to be planned, I think, and I think that is very important for parents as they start to talk about transitions with their kids. So I appreciate everything you've done here so far and look forward to y'all getting running with this if the board so approves, as we need to do tonight, I think. So thank you for your hard work.
Thank you.
Motion to approve?
Second?
All in favor? Aye. Aye. Plan's approved.
Thank you again.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Shannon Braxton with CTE or Dr. Green? Okay,
Just before Ms. Shannon Braxton.
okay,
with CTE.
welcome.
Get my glasses on here first. Well, good evening, Board Chair, Ms. Purcell, Vice Chair, Mr. Richmond, members of the Board of Education, Superintendent Dr. Jones. Well, this evening, this session is entitled Career and Technical Education Local Application. Well, it's more than the process of presenting for your review, and hopefully at the next board meeting, your approval and signature on an application. We want to talk about the outcome, the impact of our CTE program. And that's what Ms. Braxton is going to talk about. Someone who is not only the cheerleader for our CTE program, but who talks about the importance of it. And I'm going to steal a statement from her presentation, because she talks about the CTE gives purpose to learning by emphasizing real-world skills and practical knowledge. So the presentation is not only talking about the application that has to be presented each year, but sharing some of the points of pride that we have about the outcomes of our student, the progress of our student, the performance of our student as compared to the state, and even as compared to their peers. So I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Braxton to share those points of pride and also areas where we continue to focus on. Ms. Braxton, take it away.
Good evening. Hope y'all are well. Thank you, Chair Purcell, Vice Chair Richmond, all the board members, Superintendent Jones, for allowing me to stand here tonight to represent CTE and Orange County Schools. This application is a necessary part of the State Board of Education's accountability to the General Assembly of North Carolina and to the United States Department of Education. It will provide the federal funds for the next 2 school years, 24-25 and then 25-26. The full application is required every 2 years. Next school year, 24-25, will be the first year of this next application cycle. You will review that application, and then we'll have a signature page each year. This application, when completed and approved by you, the local school board assigned by you, Chair Purcell, and Superintendent Jones, and Finance Officer Rath, and myself, will become an agreement between you, the local board, and the State Board of Education. I have written this Perkins 5 CTE plan for Orange County Schools, but I did so in collaboration with the local CTE leadership team. We used the performance data provided by the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction. Per Perkins 5 requirements, the CTE leadership team has also completed a full comprehensive local needs assessment, gathering the data from CTE students, CTSO members and officers, CTE teachers, school counselors, parents through the school improvement teams, parents through PTSOs, and our business and industries represented on our Business Advisory Council. The local application is also guided by NCDPI, CTE department through the regional DPI coordinators. The full application is in assembly for you tonight. I ask tonight for your feedback on the plan, and please understand that DPI CTE staff will also review each and every part closely to align with Perkins 5 requirements. They will provide feedback and then will require edits as needed to ensure full compliance. As I receive feedback from you as well as DPI, I'll quickly make those modifications in CCIP. I want to also point out that tonight there are no budgets. DPI has yet to release those planning allotments, and we are eagerly waiting those. So as soon as we get the dollars, I will quickly go into the CCIP system, update that, and send that to you through Superintendent Jones. I do want you to know that there are 4 fund sources in CTE. The months of employment are PRC 013. We get state funds through PRC 014, federal funds through PRC 017, and then new this year, and we hope that will continue through the state legislators, is PRC 083, which is specifically for the purchase of student credentials. So CTE does give purpose. It allows students the opportunities and the option to find purpose in education through career connections and hands-on learning. Students have the opportunity to graduate with more than a diploma when they earn an industry-aligned credential. And in school year 22-23, which is the data in our plan, Orange County Schools CTE served 2,920 students in our middle and high schools. The Carl D. Perkins 5 funds provides Orange County Schools with the funds to allow programs in our middle and high school, and these CTE programs allow for hands-on learning in the classroom. These funds also allow for learning in the lab. CTE funds also allow students to learn outside the classroom, on the job through internships, field trips to business, industry, and post-secondary campuses, and through career and technical student organizations that we call CTSOs. I tried to pause on those pictures, but you know you have access to these in Assembly for you to go back in and look at the learning in each one of those pictures. On this slide is an overview of the CTE performance. Data in this local application is based on school year 22-23. Perkins 5 details 8 performance indicators. Overall, for school year 22-23, Orange County School CTE met or exceeded benchmark in 5 of the 8 indicators. These 5 are noted in green. 2 of the indicators are noted in yellow. These indicators, Orange County School CTE did not meet in 22-23, but they did meet the benchmark the previous year in 21-22. 1 performance indicator is marked in orange. This indicator, Orange County School CTE, has not met the benchmark for the previous 2 years. Just as a point of reference, 2S2, which is the performance indicator for math, marked in yellow for Orange County Schools, the state as a whole did not meet the state goal in 22-23. 2S3 performance indicator on science The state as a whole did not meet the state goal. And the third point I'd like to just point out is 4S1, which is performance indicator on non-traditional. The state as a whole did not meet the state goal. This local application is in Assembly, providing all the details on all 8 performance indicators, giving you detailed data points back to 2020-2021 school year. I highlight that this application and what you're reviewing tonight is based on data from school year 22-23. I also like to highlight on this slide that the 2 S's, that's the reading, language, arts, the mathematics, and the science, are aligned to the students' performance on their high school end-of-course exam by CTE concentrators. They note how the concentrator in CTE, that student, how they performed on their EOCs, English 2, Math 1, Math 3, Biology. But in Perkins 5, they're looking at whether the student was CCR, career and college ready. That's a performance level of a 4 and a 5, compared to what you might see in general data points as the grade level proficiency, which is levels 3, 4, and 5. On this slide, we highlight the first 4 indicators. Before we go through any of this information, let's just look at the columns to make sure we know what we're looking at here on these next 2 slides. Column 1 is the performance indicator number. Column 2 is the name of that performance indicator and the students included in the data. Column 3 is the state benchmark for Orange County schools for 22-23. The 4th column is Orange County schools' actual data, and then a comment of whether Orange County schools met, not met, or exceeded that goal. And the last column gives you a gap analysis for 22-23, and also if there was any significant change from school year 21-22. It is interesting to note, and I'd like to point out for academic proficiency in math, which is 2S2, that Orange County schools exceeded this benchmark in 21-22, but did not meet the benchmark in 22-23. And for 2S3, which is academic proficiency in science, if we go back all the way to 2020, 2021, Orange County schools exceeded that benchmark. And then in 21-22, we met it within 90%. But in 22-23, we missed that benchmark by 14.63 percentage points. I'd like to highlight that in CTE professional development, we will be focusing on how CTE teachers can make intentional effort to connect students' knowledge from core standards in English 2, Math 1, Math 3, and Biology to the hands-on, career-focused CTE course standards as they plan their lessons and track that on that pacing guide. And in general, CTE professional development, we'll continue to focus on high-yield instructional strategies, ensuring that those teachers we get from the industry that are experts in the industry are able to come into our classroom, connect with students in a way that that student can then understand the information, process it, learn it, and then be able to perform in a course, whether that course is a core course, the CTE course, or on-the-job skills. This slide, we highlight performance indicators 5 through 8. Non-traditional program concentrations noted in orange because Orange County Schools has not met this benchmark in 21-22 or 22-23. But I'd like to just highlight that in Orange County School CTE, we simply strive to give our students as many options and choices that allow them to choose the course pathway that they take. We want to give them opportunity and options that are free from barriers and roadblocks. We will continue to market all courses to all students so that students can find a course that aligns with their interests and their career goal. As the CT department, we focus on all these indicators. We will especially focus on these 3 that are not green because we want them all to be green. We'll use those strategies that we've outlined in the local application that's provided to you in Assembly tonight, and we'll continue to monitor our work towards our benchmark. Again, I just want to reference that the 3 that are not green, the state's not green there either. Just wanted to throw that in one more time. So just to make a few highlights, I hope you've paid attention to the photos on each slide, again for highlights. A North Carolina cohort graduation rate is 86%, and Orange County Schools CTE concentrators are well above our benchmark. Our actual is 97.6% cohort graduation. CTE teachers are focusing on Tier 3 vocabulary words. Those are content-specific vocabulary. They use Newsela and vocabulary strategies. Most all the CTE course pathways have at least one aligned industry credential. But again, thanks to those state legislators, they provided specific credential funds to each PSU that allow us to support these credentials. These funds are really important because it allows us, me, not have to make the decision whether I buy supplies and equipment to support the course standard or do I buy the students a credential testing voucher. And so these funds are really, really important. Orange County Schools has not met or exceeded technical attainment in 5S4. Let me back up one slide. That's that bottom one. 5S4, Program Quality Other, that's technical attainment. We've not met that goal in several years, and in 22-23, we exceeded that goal. And two reasons why we believe we exceeded that goal is one, some of our required proofs of learning have changed. They are now a performance-based measure, and that allows the students to show their mastery on performance tasks versus taking a 100-question multiple-choice test. We're really excited about that. We also think that we see that increase in technical attainment because we are really honing in with a laser focus to the course standards and sound instructional strategies in our CTE classrooms. And many of the CTE course pathways now only have 2 courses to make them a concentrator. There's the prereq and then the concentrator course. This is allowing students to concentrate in more than one pathway. And so we have seen an increase in our CTE concentrators from 334 students in 21-22 to 407 concentrators in 22-23. We have some areas for growth. We're ready. And in those areas for growth, we're going to focus on intentional connection to concrete math applications in our CTE class to abstract math concepts. An example is using a ruler or a tape measure to measure a 1/4 inch or 3/8 of an inch. What does that look like in writing? What does that look like in an abstract math problem? And having our teachers make some concrete connections between the student knowing how to read that tape measure and then being able to show that proficiency on an end of course test. For biology, we're going to continue with our literacy focus, but we're going to start focusing on prefix, suffix, and root words, especially when the CTE course connects to science standards. And then, of course, our continued partnership with C&I departments and the equity department, especially with our new opportunity gap analysis, where we're ensuring that all students are enrolling in CTE classrooms and that those classrooms are free or have set routines and are free from barriers. Our partnership with these 2 departments are ensuring that we work collaboratively to improve the quality of core instruction with high-yield instructional strategies in our CTE classes. We want to continue to integrate literacy, which was 2S1 that we exceeded, and we want to and continue to do some math skills in our CTE coursework to increase 2S2. We're really excited about the growth opportunities that we have in CTE. And then exciting news in CTE, we're going to continue to focus on a variety of course options to allow students to find engagement and a variety of programs to provide options that remove barrier and allow choice. I'm really excited that we are able to add 2 additional forklift simulators. We unboxed one today at Cedar Ridge. We have our rep coming tomorrow from Savannah, Georgia to get that up and running for students. We've added a second one at Partnership Academy. We do not have a distribution and logistics pathway of courses in our schools, but these forklift simulators added to our current pathways, given options for students so that they can learn these skills. And you've seen the growth up and down our corridor on 8540. They can go and get high-paying jobs. They have these skills, and then they can go and get that forklift certification when they turn 18. We're real excited about those added resources. Marketing continues to be another focus, and as we tell the story of CTE and all of our course options, the addition of our digital displays and our course guide enhancements will be valued additions. So tonight, before I take any questions from you or any suggestions to update the plan, I just would like to remind you that tonight does not require a vote. You will vote on the consent agenda at your next meeting. At that meeting, you will be asked to approve the plan and then to authorize the board chair, the superintendent, the finance chief, and myself to sign that plan. But know that when we sign that plan, we're signing it for the whole board, and we're signing that assurance and certification stating that all the programs, the services, and the activities administered through the local application that you have in assembly tonight will be in accord with the assurances listed in Part 6, again, that's listed in assembly for you tonight. So at this time, I am ready to hear your questions and comments so that I can make this the best plan for Orange County Schools.
Anybody? Sarah?
I have a couple of things. Thank you for that overview of everything. It was exciting to see so many things in green, and I'm really glad that the high graduation rate is continuing in particular. That's awesome. Let's see. One question I had, I've thought a little bit about how our newcomer student population is growing, including, I think, in high school. And I was curious, I didn't remember from in the application, like, it seems to me like a lot of CTE coursework, which is about sort of like practical skills for post-graduation, could be a great way to sort of engage newcomer students and access skills even when like English language is something that they're still kind of early on the journey of. So I was curious if there's anything in particular you're doing there in terms of that intersection.
We serve all students, and so when they come to our class in CTE, we're serving those students. What we are finding that we are probably going to need more of is some more training for our teachers to be able to help those students, because without relying on other students in the classroom to help do the translation, because that's not then fair to that student. So we're going to continue to work on that. Of course, I was in a Gravelly Hill classroom a couple weeks ago, and the teacher was using Google Translate in her classroom. She was speaking into her computer that was then translating for a student that I think she had just gotten that week, and was giving the students instruction that way, and the students was speaking back to the teacher using Google Translate. So that's a really helpful resource, and we'll continue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is certainly a collaboration with Emily Lewis, and to see how we can indeed integrate some of the programs and some of the strategies that the ML teachers are using in the CTE classroom.
And that's part of that opportunity gap analysis. Thank you for saying that about Emily Lewis, because she is part of that team looking at our enrollment to make sure that we have we're serving all students. It's marketed to all students, and all students get to choose, but are we getting all students? And that's that opportunity gap. So we'll continue. I wrote down Emily Lewis. So thank you. Did you say you had another one?
I have others, but I'll let other people go and then circle back around. That's fine.
Ms. Hauser?
Yeah, I'll just start with a couple of simple ones. First, thanks for this, and I really like the unique number of students that's been, so thank you for including that. Just to understand, so this is middle and high school, right? So does this mean that half, 60, 65% of our students are participating in CTE?
Yeah, because we are serving, what did I say, 2,920
Yeah, almost
students.
3,000,
And when you're looking in assembly at the application, you can look at the breakdown of CTE participants. So in 22-23, unduplicated count, so counting one student per time, not counting a student who might take more than one CTE class, we served 1,216 students in middle school in 22-23. And we served 1,704 students in high school, unduplicated count.
Got it. So it just, I think it's impressive to like put the percentages of how many students we're actually reaching. It's really impressive. And I think it'd be great to say that. I was also curious about the diversity, of the students, and showing that, are we reaching into all our student subgroups? And I was curious on the areas where we're underperforming. expectations, do we have and I love the way you explained your targeting area, how to do that better. I was just curious if there's any particular schools or student subgroups where we're seeing the problems.
Yeah, so let me address the first one
problems,
with participation. Again, on that same first page of CTE participants, it breaks it down female, male, and then each category by race and other groups as identified in Perkins 5. There's lots of groups. In fact, there's 2 pages of the breakdown, both duplicated and unduplicated count. And then the second part of that question was, I missed it.
Are there certain
Particular schools or particular subgroups.
subgroups and schools that we really need to pay attention to?
I don't have the breakdown by school. I could look at that in certain courses that are only offered at one school or another. But typically the data that we have is by, not necessarily by course, but by pathway. So like business, marketing, and finance, or trade and industrial. So it's kind of hard to break it out by school, but we can see it by all groups. Every data point that is shared in the 8 performance indicators, it gives it as an overall, and it gives it for every group thereafter. And in the strategies, anywhere that there is a large gap in the gap analysis, we have addressed that with a strategy of how we can maybe close that gap.
Okay, we'll look more closely. And one last question. So do board members get to look at, test drive the forklift simulator?
I hope that you will come in.
okay.
We'll have it out on some of these open house nights. I hope you'll do that.
To do that, that'd be great.
Mr. Atherton?
So I don't have any questions specifically about the application. I've seen this. It's amazing how many students, especially EC students, that are able to engage and get the benefit and opportunity. And I think this is one of the things that distinguishes Orange County when people are considering where to send their kids, because we have the best CTE program in the state by far. So I just wanted to say that and just, let the community hear that, because it is one of the best kept secrets. And I know we strive every day. And what this application doesn't talk about is our community partnerships with our businesses, and where our students are actually getting not only the hands-on training, but they're actually, in a lot of cases, actually making money and seeing the potential of what they're learning and finding out early what they like and don't like and making those adjustments. And I think that is so key for our students who are trying to figure out what they want to do, whether it's going to college, going to trade school, or going right into a career, that they get those opportunities early on to figure out what they would like to do. And one thing I wanted to share that I've heard many times recently is, are there any plans to get food prep in middle school? At some point.
Okay. Facilities.
Yes.
Facilities.
Yeah.
Facilities. And maybe some more months of employment. We'll see what that budget looks like that we haven't gotten yet. Yes, I would love that. That speaks my language. But yes, family consumer science is one of our pathways that we have lost teachers in, just because we're seeing that trickle down all the way from the college level of the number that they are graduating and not filling all the vacancies. And that is something that we continue to strive for. It is a great pathway, and one that I taught right here in Orange County Schools myself, and loved it.
Yeah, the reason I ask is parents ask me all the time, they see the old home ec in the middle school and say, God, could we reuse that and make it a food prep or something like that? So anyway, thank you so much. I just wanted to share my gratitude for you, your staff, and all of our CTE staff that help students make a determination of what they want to do for the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Braxton. There's a lot of fantastic information in here. One noticing, looking at the spreadsheet with the student counts, we've actually had slight male drop in participation the last 3 years, 10 to 20 students out of just under 1,000 per year. And then we've seen an increase in female students, which is good in a way because we've traditionally had more male students. But, there are some like trends that are interesting to look at and see if there's any needs to meet there. And then I was thinking about, I appreciate your breakdown of some of the proficiency and how, what our local trends look like and what some of the state trends look like. And I know personally from the biology EOC that getting that 3, it's like one question. So it's like there's a 2, there's a question, it can be a 3 out of 60, or you're a 4. So on the one hand, it's more challenging to have to get that 4 or 5. On the other hand, that like elusive 3 is really strange to begin with. So there are just some quirks of some of those exams, but I appreciate the context that you put in those. So thank you.
And I also noted a little bit of a drop in enrollment, but then I started to go back and think about during that school year, did we have a vacancy? For example, I predict that this next year, when we look at the data for this current school year, keep in mind we've had several vacancies. And so therefore, the schools have had to redistribute those students because we can't put a sub in a health science classroom. We didn't put a sub in the construction lab. So we've had several key vacancies where the students were then having to choose a different elective because of a teacher vacancy. So that's one of the rationales, I think, when we look at those difference in the numbers.
Good context, thank you.
Ms. Molly?
Just a couple of other things. One is, I just wanted to share this because I happened to see it in Cumberland County Schools, like high school course catalog. They have like a page for each CTE concentration, and on it they have like the courses you take, the kinds of internships students are doing this year, and then also what are the careers and what's the income earning potential of those jobs. Just sort of one of those other ways to sort of help students make that connection you were talking about to like what is possible for them. So just throwing that out for some future revision of a course catalog or wherever that might be useful. I thought it's interesting to look at how they advertise that. And then the other thing is, I saw DPI put out this like CTE credential report at some point, and I didn't realize that the types of credentials were like tiers, like tier 1, 2, and 3 credentials. And I would just love to know sometime, like how many of the credentials that students are getting are like a tier 3 credential. Tier 1 is like intro to whatever. Tier 3 is like, this can actually secure you a job afterwards, potentially. And so I'm just curious how many students we have sort of achieving that level of credential that like meaningfully changes kind of their employment options.
Yes, that's exciting. I can send that to you through the superintendent, the difference in the tiers, because that is put out each year, and that chart does change as the industry evaluates those tiered credentials. And one of the things that we're going to see, again, is like our credential number, that's going to be something that's going to drop when we look at our data for this current school year, because when you think about construction, construction does NCCR, which is 8 modules, and then each student does OSHA, that's 9. So for each student in that, we're going to lose a count of 9 for this district. So you're going to have to, when we look at that data, we're going to have to rationalize who was out. And our health science, those students get first aid, CPR, and they get OSHA healthcare. So having that program with not this school year, every one of those students that were in that Health Science 2 course, they're missing out on those 3 credentials. So our credential numbers are going to go down. And it's interesting when that credential tier does change. So that's this negotiation that happens. Also, our teachers are eligible these last few years for bonuses based on those tiers. But I also will say that options for our students are valuable even if it's a tier 1 credential, because a tier 1 credential can lead them into another opportunity that might lead them to a tier 2 or to a tier 3. So we want to make sure we provide all the options. And now that commissioners or the state legislators are giving us those funds, we have the funds available to buy all the tier credentials, giving students those options. Because even the tier 1s are hard to get by our students because they're written for adults working in the industry. So when our students earn that industry credential, it's a real accomplishment because it is a student who's not really working in the industry. So I always like to make sure I highlight that when we talk about those credentials. Thank you.
To talk down on tier 1 credentials.
No.
You know, the other ones, I was sort of like, oh, veterinary assistant, you know, seeing some of the ones that the state offers, and I was like, you know, some of these are, like, you can go out and get that job, you know, so. And then one more thing, you know, some of the other field concentrations that I saw, just sort of in the big list, and I was curious, and I know, I'm sure this has been discussed before, but like, there are sort of like advanced like electrical and plumbing and HVAC kinds of concentrations that are like possible in the world. Like, have we ever explored like adding, I'm glad to see the construction and masonry sort of shift, but have we ever explored any of those? It seems like it's hard to find a plumber, you know what I mean?
Right. And we have explored them. And that goes back to Mr. Atherton's, like, could we add, there's so many possibilities and we would love to have them all. We need a few more months of employment. We need a few more facility adds, but yes, those are all possibilities. Hence, thank you for approving the course add to add masonry and carpentry to accommodate opportunity at Orange High School in the vacancy of the construction technology teacher. So as things like that open up, yes, we can continue to explore those options. It just, as we know, everything in life takes a little bit extra money, and then trying to make choices based on what we have. And staffing, money, staffing. Well, the months of employment lead to the staffing and then finding the right candidate.
Then finding somebody to take the job as a whole.
Yeah, but we continue to investigate that, and we try to be really wide open when we do have a vacancy. How can we fill that? And always thinking about what's the labor market in our area, because we want to make sure that we're putting students in opportunities and courses that align to something that's in our industry and in our local market.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Astro?
So just to follow up on Sarah's question or, you know, asking about it, I know that from the website, when you go to one of the concentrators, it actually shows you the prerequisites, here's the core class, here's your major, and so it has kind of a breakdown. I'll forward it to the rest of the board, but it shows you what's expected, what your next steps are, and as you go through each one, you can actually see that kind of path. But maybe to what you were getting at, it doesn't really tell you what field you could go in, but it's more like woodworking. Okay, we have a woodworking 1, a woodworking 2, and then you have a major, but you know, carpentry, right? So it's a good overview of kids trying to understand where do I take it, because it has a middle school section and then the, you know, prerequisite and the current course. But I agree that if parents have the opposite way of like, hey, we'd like to know carpentry, oh, we got woodworking, and you know, I know there's so many ways to spin this and do it, but I know we've got at least one way that we're showing it today, but maybe there's another way to help parents and students navigate it from the other direction, which is, hey, this is the career I want. What are the classes and prerequisite and concentrators to do it?
Yeah, even just in the context of like career planning and thinking about like, what have these jobs, like what have some of the high school graduates gone on to do, you know, where and how much do they make, that kind of stuff. So,
Ms. Hauser?
First, I looked at the table, and you're absolutely right. The participation is widespread in the program, so across all our student groups. So congratulations, and thank you for that. I wondered if you've looked at, are our kids in CTE doing better than they would do if they weren't in CTE? It looks like your graduation rates are higher than they are for the overall population, and I was wondering if you're seeing that the grades are higher, you know, for the kids in CTE. I thought you even said that you're looking at a 4 and 5, not a 3, 4, and 5.
Right, so in the 2 S's, the 2S1, 2S2, and 2S3, which are the connecting to their EOC of English 2, Math 1, Math 3, and Biology. In Perkins 5 of the federal guidelines, they're looking at the CTE students that are proficient at a level 4 and a 5. That's the career and college ready, not the grade level proficiency, which is a 3, 4, and 5. So it is looking at a higher standard. I can't speak specifically to if the CTE students are making better grades. But I can tell you confidently that a lot of students come to school for their CTE class, and that is what drives them. And so maybe they're not making the highest grades in the school, but they're committed to work, and they're committed to learning in that CTE course. And that helps give them a purpose, which is what I wanted to highlight, that when you review and approve this plan, that we get these federal funds, that we are able to use those funds to offer all these course options to meet the needs of all of our students, to give them that choice.
Yeah, well, I just love that you set the bar high and our kids are achieving it. I mean, as a board member, I'm incredibly proud of the work you're doing, so thank you.
I just want to say, as somebody who's been here probably longer than anybody else, and seen CTE program, it has grown exponentially over the past few years, and thank you to your leadership for doing that. I'm tickled to death to see the masonry and carpentry coming back to Orange High School. I know that was sorely missed the past 2 years, and glad to see the masonry back. Hadn't been masonry there in a long time. So I'm glad to see that back. My biggest plug would be more CTE classes, more varieties in middle school, because that's where kids get the interest, is in middle school. And they're going to follow it to the high school. If it's one of those that can flow with them, they're going to take it. I know money, I know staff, I know all of that. But I think it would, we've got such an excellent program in Orange County to be able to offer more variety of CTE classes in middle school would be phenomenal for our kids. So thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for this detailed report, and it has been a pleasure to read it and go through it and see how much this program has truly grown over the past few years. So thank you. Any other comments? Okay, we will take this, we will look at it, and we will vote on it on the 20th, I believe. Thank you so much for being here, to Dr. Green and to Ms. Braxton. Okay, is there any other business that we need to do tonight?
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
All in favor? Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for a good meeting. And if y'all want to see that.